I'm Kayla.
And I'm Haley.
And we majored in English for this.
For this?
Alright, this week we read the much anticipated Ghosts of the Shadow Market anthology.
Oh my
god.
God.
The first story came out in April 2018, and then they were all bundled together on June 4th, 2019.
So good. French kiss.
Yeah. French kiss, you mean chef's kiss?
French kiss?
French kiss this book.
I would French kiss this book. Holy cow.
I'm gonna open my soda pop because I'm thirsty. I need to quench the thirst this book gave me. Oh, crisp.
Ooh, crispy.
Crisp audio spike. Okay, so I have never read, going into this, any of the stories in this book. Haley, on the other hand, has read read half of them before we read it.
Oopsie. Yeah, what was I? I was like super hyped up about the Shadowhunter Chronicles. I was like, I just need more.
Yeah, last year. It was a lot, but I knew some of the things that had gone into this because like the stories were being released when Queen of Air and Darkness came out, so like I spoiled myself because I go on the Wikipedia quite a lot.
Right.
Like it was really dicey going on the Wikipedia this week because Chain of Gold just came out and I was like, well, they're already updating stuff. I can't read certain chapters.
I can't.
Oh, okay. So the nostalgia factor, this whole book.
I know, just Jemison. James. It made me want to reread Infernal Devices so bad, but
I know.
I just don't have the time.
I really, really enjoyed how there was a subtle balance between getting us set up for the last hours, getting us set up for wicked powers, and then Cassandra Clare just going, you know what? We're gonna give them what they want. A lot of stuff that has nothing to do with anything.
Right, but it's just so good.
Yeah, and it filled in a lot of blanks that you and I had.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so unlike Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and the Bane Chronicles, those didn't really fill in any blanks that we had.
No, not quite.
So let's get into what happened here.
Okay.
This is just an entire gem-centric book that's over 600 pages. Everything we could have wanted, guys.
It is truly everything. I just realized that like Jem has never and could never do anything wrong in my eyes. If he did anything remotely questionable, I would be like, well, that's how I feel now.
Yep. Jim Carstairs is our moral compass. He has been my iPhone background for almost a year. I love one man. Brother Snackariah. God. Okay. So since this is an anthology, we do our anthology business where we volley. So I'm going first. Cast Long Shadows. This was the first. I did not gather up when these were published. Probably should have done that. I didn't. I know for a fact Haley didn't do what I did, which is write down all the authors.
Oh, definitely not.
Or any of the epigraphs.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
My bad.
So Cast Long Shadows was written by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan. And I didn't realize this, but this Sarah Reese Brennan is the same as the Sarah Reese Brennan who wrote In Other Lands, which is a book that came out in 2017, which I've been dying to read. It's a queer fantasy novel. So,
Yeah, I was reading the author bios in the back of the book, and Girls on Fire or something like that was a series by one of the authors. That was really the only other one I saw that looked familiar.
Yeah. Okay, so this story has the epigraph of old sins cast long shadows. It's 1901 London. Brother Zachariah is at the shadow market and he sees Matthew Fairchild dancing in the middle of the market, doing the can. We get a brief recount of the events of, I think it was called The Fiend of Whitechapel.
The one about James?
Yeah, one of the short stories in Shadowhunter Academy that was about James Herondale at the Shadowhunter Academy. So we get Matthew's POV of those scenes. He hates being a Shadowhunter. He strongly dislikes other Shadowhunter children. And is mad his mom is always busy working.
How old is he in this?
This is 1901, so in 1899 was the events of Nothing But Shadows. That's what the book is called. Nothing But Shadows is the story. So this takes place 2 years after that. So he's like 15.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So the reason why Matthew decides to blow up part of the Shadowhunter Academy is because gross-ass Alistair Carstairs is starting a rumor that Gideon Lightwood is actually Matthew's father and not Henry. I'm sorry? In my Christian household?
It doesn't help that whenever I picture Matthew, I just picture... Because his last name's Fairchild. Like, I can't imagine a Fairchild child without red hair.
Yeah,
so
but
it's like,
he has
obviously
blonde
your
hair.
dad... Yeah, but yeah, he has blonde hair, so...
Yeah. Like, not that good not understanding genetics business. Like, Matthew, my mom had red hair, my dad had black hair. My hair is not red naturally. My sister has blonde hair, and I have brown hair. Because red hair is just blonde hair gene with an extra gene on it. The more you know.
It's special.
Anyways. Matthew then gives Christopher Lightwood those matches, and who then blows up part of the building somehow. And then Matthew gets expelled. Okay, so back in 1901, Matthew was like, I didn't know your version of... So Matthew sees Jim, and he's just like, Uncle Jim, I need to know your version of events that Uncle Will and Aunt Tessa have been telling me. Also, are you in love with Aunt Tessa? I have many questions. So they hang out in the shadow market together. Brief mention of seeing Katarina Loss. Love that. Jem is meeting up with Ragnar Fell, and then when Ragnar shows up, So Jem is meeting up with Ragnar Fell, and so he leaves Matthew to his own devices for a bit. And then Ragnar spots Matthew and gets twitchy because he remembers that explosion. I have this quote. Matthew's hair was gold even by strange flames, his face bright even in the shadow. Brother Zachariah watched him laugh. Foreboding crept into his heart. He experienced sudden fear for Matthew, for all the shining beloved children belonging to his dear friends. By the time he was Matthew's age, he and Will had been through fire and burning silver. His generation had suffered, so they could bring the next one forth into a better world. But now it occurred to Jim that those children, taught to expect love and walk fearless through shadows, would be shocked and betrayed by disaster. Some of them might be broken. Pray disaster never came.
Boy, Uncle Jem.
Uncle Jem. Matthew is still haunted by the idea that maybe Gideon Lightwood is actually his dad, because he's like, my mom and him are good friends, and he does have blonde hair.
And what, my dad is paralyzed, right?
Wheelchair bound.
Wheelchair bound.
Disabled. But so he goes and buys a truth potion at the shadow market. And he wants to use it. And when he was buying this truth potion, Jim's just like, don't buy that. And he's just like, don't tell me what to do. So he hasn't told anyone about, like, this rumor. He hasn't told anyone about the truth potion. So the next day, Matthew goes and gets James. Matthew may or may not be low-key in love with Lucy.
I can't remember. I feel like I saw that somewhere, but I can't remember.
He's just like, oh, I want to brush her hair back, but that would be taking liberties. And I'm just like,
that sounds like 1901 love to me.
What's going on here? Because we know, we already done diddly don seen all the family trees. I know you don't marry Lucy Herondale.
Who does he marry? I should pull that up while we're recording.
Yeah, I took a great picture. I found a family tree that, and then color coded it and sent it to Haley because I was getting very confused. We do not know who Matthew Fairchild marries, but Lucy Herondale marries Jesse Blackthorne, who is Tatiana Lightwood's son.
Oh, yes. We don't get any of them.
No, not this time, because they were in, one of the Bane Chronicles.
Yeah, I think so. I think Bane Chronicles.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be a bigger thing in the last hours. Okay, anyways. Okay, so Matthew and James meet up with Christopher and Thomas Lightwood at their secret club. They call themselves the Shadow Hooligans. I fucking love Matthew Fairchild.
Me too.
He obviously spends a great deal of time with Will, the drama. Matthew decides to put a single drop of the truth potion in the batter for Charlotte's scones, because he must know the truth about his father. Charlotte takes one bite of her scones and painfully collapses. Jim and Tessa come and help save Charlotte. Charlotte was pregnant with her and Henry's third child, and they were trying to have a girl. And Gideon was helping her with her consul duties. And Henry tells Matthew that he was named after Henry's great aunt Matilda, who had beautiful blonde hair.
Rip, dude.
Charlotte lives, but she miscarries.
Oh, poor Charlotte.
My upstairs neighbor is creak-cracking around, guys. I apologize greatly. I will try to edit those out. Jim knows that Matthew did this, that he bought something at the shadow market that caused this, but Matthew won't admit it, and Jim tells him to tell someone at least. And Matthew wants to tell James, but he doesn't want anyone to know what he did. Will and Jim walk together afterwards, and the bells ring, proclaiming Queen Victoria dead.
Dun dun dun.
So this takes place before, I think it's the Whitechapel Fiend. I think that is the one where James gets drunk and shoots the gun and all that business.
And he's lovesick over someone.
Yeah. This takes place before that. And then Last Hours, I believe, takes place either before or after that. Probably after.
I think after.
Yeah.
I believe, but I don't know everything.
So, Matthew Fairchild's got some issues. Looking forward to that.
But he is a snappy dresser. That's all that matters.
He is a snappy dresser.
Which leads us into Every Exquisite Thing. Are we ready?
Yeah. Go for it, babe.
Do you want to tell who wrote it with Cassie or...
I can look it up. I don't have that prepared.
Okay, it's fine. We'll skip it. Good job. I commend all of you writers. So Anna Lightwood, daughter of Gabriel and Cecily, loves to wear her brother Christopher's clothes.
It was Maureen Johnson.
Maureen Johnson. Thank you, Maureen. The Lightwood family goes to have dinner with Inquisitor Bridgestock and his family. Anna there meets Ariadne, who takes her breath away and even flirts with her back. They decide to train together since Ariadne hasn't trained much. Mm-hmm. A week later, they train and go to a downworlder party in her fancy-ass manly clothes that Matthew had taken her to like a week before, I think. But the group of mostly mundanes and downworlders are raising a whole demon. A demon horde, in fact. And Anna and Ariadne rush in and fight. And when Ariadne and Anna were training together, Ariadne was like pretending to be bad, and in the fight she's like a badass and like knows what she's doing. So I think that's kind of funny. So Jem shows up and helps them. And when they win, Anna goes home with Ariadne And I think they fuck. I can't be quite sure, but I'm pretty sure.
There's at least heavy making out, maybe some heavy petting. But, like, these are, like, Victorian girls. Do they know?
They're definitely taking off their clothes and touching each other, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they're under shifts.
So, before I forgot to mention it, but Jem was, like, in the shadow market, and he met Malcolm Fade and... what was her name? Why did I not? Leopolda Stain or something. Something awful. But she's the warlock that was raising the demons at the party. And Jem goes to talk to her, and she claims to know who Tessa's demon father is. But the only info he gets out of her before she's killed is that he's a greater demon. But, like, not his name or what his powers were or whatever or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because Jem wants to find out just to help prepare Tessa for, like, whatever James or Lucy might go through, since they obviously have that blood as well. So Anna goes home around dawn, and after sleeping a few hours, cannot wait to call on Ariadne again. However, Charles Fairchild, which is...
Henry and Charlotte's oldest son.
Right. He's there, and Anna finds out that he and Ariadne are going to be married in a few years. And this obviously crushes Anna, because she was, like, picturing their life together. Oh, gosh. So sad. And Ariadne says Anna thought she understood that this was a little happiness they could have for themselves, before having to move on and pretend to be straight, which neither of them clearly are. Anna's incredibly sad, but Cecily and Gabriel, just the best fucking parents ever.
I know!
They give her a dope-ass suit, and they know she likes women and likes to wear men's clothes, and are, like, 100% supportive. And I would die for Anna, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Anna cuts all of her hair off, too.
Anna cuts all of her hair off. Love that.
Okay. The next story is Learn About Loss, written by Cassandra Clare and Kelly Link. It's Chattanooga in 1936. Tangent that has nothing to do with this podcast. During junior year of college, I went on a huge road trip with some friends at Disney World, and we had to drive around Chattanooga at nighttime. And it's so pretty lit up at night, because Chattanooga is, like, in this valley between, like, the mountains. And so it was so pretty at night, and, like, we didn't actually go in Chattanooga. We were just on the interstate. And so we all were just memed about being in love with the mere concept of Chattanooga. I've never been to Chattanooga. All I know is it looks pretty at night.
Never been to Chattanooga either.
When you're on the interstate. So, okay, so in Chattanooga, so there's been this amusement park set up called Fairyland. And, obviously, this be a downworlder carnival preying on mundanes. The beginning of this story felt very tonally different. It felt very much like this podcast called The Magnus Archives. It's a very good, like, horror anthology podcast. But the way they were describing things it was very, very much like that.
Nice. What is that? What is the Magnus Archives?
It's a horror anthology podcast, which I'm almost done with it. It's very good. Highly recommend. So the Fairyland is actually a shadow market in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains. So brother Zachariah and Iron sister Amelia are gonna shut that shit down. Jim is amazed by the rural U.S., and Amelia is a new Iron sister from San Francisco, and boy howdy, her vernacular. It's very, very close to Will dying. Very close. He's still alive at this point. But he's close. And Jem is struggling with the idea of having to completely lose Will. Jim inquires about Annabelle Blackthorne to Amelia for Malcolm. And she's like, I don't know an Annabelle, but no one gets forced into the sisterhood. You gotta come voluntarily, and not everyone makes it.
Easter egg.
Easter egg. So they see a magician who is being aided by a woman of fairy descent and who's holding a baby. I wonder who that could be. Jim and Amelia learn that there's probably a demon in the mirror maze. So they go in the mirror maze, and the mirrors are made from demon metal. And you follow the mirrors to show you what you want most of the world. And dude, don't fucking rattle me like this.
Oh no.
But she saw the things that he longed for too. A man and a woman she thought must be his parents, listening to their son play his violin in a great concert hall. A black-haired man with blue eyes and laugh lines around his mouth building up a fire in the drawing room, with the solemn girl smiling now, perched in the lap of brother Zachariah, no longer a brother, but a husband and a parabatai, in the company of the ones he loved most. They came to a mirror where the black-haired man, now old and frail, lay in a bed. The girl sat curled up beside him, stroking his forehead. Silently, brother Zachariah came into the room, but when he threw back his hood, he had open, clear eyes and a smiling mouth. At this sight, the old man in the bed sat up and grew younger and younger as joy had renewed his youth. He sprang out of bed and embraced his parabatai.
No!
Fucking kill me!
Dude. I could just read one sentence, and the only words were Jem and Will and Tessa, and I'd immediately start fucking bawling.
It's the... Oh! Okay.
Ugh.
So they get to the demon whose name... Belalai? Belala?
Sure.
Belial? 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 Belial. Belial sounds correct. He's a prince of hell.
Man, do you feel like these princes of hell are just running around everywhere? Like, they don't seem very special. There's so many of them.
He has a mask of Adamas. He easily gives it up because he owes Jim a favor, and then tries to use that favor to get Jim with a cure for Yinfin, or a secret about the lost Herondale. Jim takes information on the lost Herondale. The line is still alive, but being chased by a greater power that is neither mortal or demon. And then Jim also finds out that Tessa's dad is a prince of hell. Which, like, okay. That's we don't ever find out which prince of hell. We just know it's not Asimodeus or Belalai.
Nope.
Jim realizes that Roland the Astonishing, that magician, lost Herondale, baby.
That's him.
So he yeets on out to go chase down Roland. And Amelia makes a deal with Belial to give Jim and Will an illusion of a few hours span of time for themselves to remember their youth. And then the illusion comes. And it's right of them, and in the illusion, it's them right before they became parabatai. I have a quote. Jim said, "There's a dumpling place down the street. I haven't eaten human food in half a century. Let's go see who can eat the most dumplings in the shortest amount of time. And duck! You really ought to try pressed duck. It's quite a delicacy." Jim looked at Will, suppressing a smile. His friend glared back, but at last neither could hold back their laughter. Will said, "There is nothing so sweet as feasting upon the bones of my enemies, especially with you at my side." There was a lightness in Jim's chest that he realized finally was joy. He saw the joy mirrored in his parabatai's face. The face of the one you love is the best mirror of all. It shows you your own happiness and your own pain, and it helps you to bear both, because to bear either alone is to be overwhelmed by the flood.
Stop, dude!
And then they explore the Shanghai of Jim's youth, a perfect illusion for them both. Crying.
Dude, what the fuck?
Okay, yes, Jem Tessa, kill me. Jem Will? Oh.
It's almost too much to bear.
It's too much. Like not even in, like, the homoerotic undertones that run throughout their entire everything. Just, like, their friendship and their brotherhood. Ugh.
They just love each other. Fuck.
I know. And the love takes us to the next one, Haley.
Oh, God. Wait, I have to keep switching back between our things. A deeper love. Oh, fuck. I don't have any quotes, but I don't think I could.
No, it's by Cassandra Clare and Maureen Johnson.
Oh, Maureen, you've got me again. So it's World War II, and it's 3 years after Will passed away. And Tessa doesn't see how she fits into the Shadowhunter world anymore, or really anywhere, because she's so lost without Will. I'm fucking crying, and I wrote these notes.
I know, it's the worst!
So she joins Katerina Loss as a nurse in London for, obviously, those injured by all the bombs that were dropped on London at this time.
Because it's the Blitz.
Because it do be World War II. So one night, Jem is looking for info on the lost Herondale at the London Shadow Market, and he's attacked by a fae who wants him to stop snooping. He's fatally wounded by a poisoned blade and goes to Tessa and Katerina. And it's, like, incredibly hard for them to get back to their apartment because, like, you know, the whole of London is burning and they're still, like, actively dropping bombs, but they can't treat Jem at the hospital because he's a shadow hunter, and any doctor would find that very strange. So, they do finally get him back to their tiny little apartment. Katerina treats the wound as best as she can, and Jem rests. And when he wakes, he and Tessa have a moment. Tessa is upset that he stayed away after Will's death because they need each other. There's no one else in the whole world that either of them could ever be with, even though at the moment Jem is obviously still a silent brother. But they kiss.
I know.
And they decide that, like, I don't know. I don't even remember. I just couldn't get over the kiss.
They almost fucked too. It's a whole thing.
It's kind of, like, a lot for poor Jem trying to recover from this horrible thing. But, Tessa sleeps right next to Jem, holding his hand. And the next day, Jem is gone before Tessa wakes up, but he leaves a note promising that he won't stay away anymore, even though he's a silent brother and he is not allowed. That one was too much for me. I was literally bawling reading it, so
I know.
I tried to go over it as fast as I could because I really can't think about it.
Yeah, it was a lot. It hurt. It hurt in a lot of ways. It was
just like they couldn't be together because he had to turn into a silent brother, and Tessa was like, I just can't. There's no words for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was a terrible description, no, but I can't think about it.
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, the next story, a little jollier. The Wicked Ones by Cassandra Clare and Robin Wasserman. It's Paris, 1989. One of our narrator this time is Selene Moncler, Jace's mother. Who, we never really fucking talk about her, like, ever.
I feel like, I read your notes earlier and you kind of get into this, but, like, Selene always just seemed like, she, like, never really seemed like a real person, you know what I mean? She just seemed like...
Yeah, we can definitely get into that. It definitely feels like, as well, she was significantly younger than all the other Circle members. Like, she's, like, 4 years younger than Steven, Robert, Maurice, Jocelyn, and Valentine, and Luke. So all of them thought of her as, like, basically a little kid who Valentine forced Steven to marry. And, so, like, they never really took her seriously, and, like, the fact that they all were kind of pissy at her about the fact that she, like, when they talk about how she killed herself after Steven died, which I also want to get into later, it really felt like they, like, blamed her.
Right.
Like, for a lot of stuff. I don't know, like, and I feel like, especially Luke and Amatas blamed her for why Amatas had to divorce Steven. Which, like, kind of, yes, but, like, also, well,
because, I mean, it wasn't like Selene wasn't, like, madly in love with Steven. Like,
Yeah.
We'll
get into it. Okay, so.
Okay, yeah, let's just talk about
this is, Celine and Steven are not together at this point. She's 17, so Steven is 20? 21? Like 21, 22. And she's been in love with Steven for years.
Yeah.
Anyway, Celine, Steven, and Robert are on an official mission. Steven is married to Amatas at this point, and Robert's married to Maurice. So they go to the Paris Shadow Market, and Celine hasn't completely drank the Valentine Kool-Aid. She's very doubtful about him.
Yeah.
Because Celine, she comes from a deeply abusive family, and reading about this, like, really fucking her in a way, because you just know she would have loved Jace so much.
Oh, I know.
And, like, the everything that Valentine did to Jace, she would have not been okay with.
No,
she would have been, like, I feel like Celine would have killed Valentine. Like, that's the energy she gives. We find out that Steven used to be punk before he met Valentine. So our circle members are staking out a warlock tent when Brother Zechariah arrives looking for the hair and necklace Katerina had get the lost Herondale line. He buys it and notes Celine eavesdropping and talks to her. She admits she's in love with Steven. They talk, and I love Jem so fucking much. Because he's like
so sweet to her.
He's just like, to love a Herondale's an awful lot. Okay, Jem POV time. He's tracking down a dude named Jack Crow. He follows him down an alley. Then a lady with a fairy lady shows up with a crossbow. Jack Crow, Johnny Rook, maybe, claims he's the lost Herondale, and he was selling the pendant. He knows his heritage. They make a deal to meet up later, and Jem will protect him or whatever. So, Celine accidentally gets Steven roofied. And Steven, like, kisses her and is, like, very much like, oh, you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah.
And it's, like, simultaneously everything she's ever wanted, and also, like, horrifying. She knows that he's under a spell or whatever.
Yeah. So Steven kisses her. That happens. Brief demon attack that got deal with. They interrogate this warlock, and Celine overhears Steven and Robert making fun of her. So she, like, depression wanders Paris. She comes across Jack Crow, who is in fact Johnny Rook, and his wife Rosemary. He's pretending to be the lost Herondale. He takes this potion that will change his features. That's why he's got that weird plastic surgery all the time. He then runs off, and a demon attacks Rosemary, and Celine kills it. And it turns out Rosemary is the lost Herondale. Rosemary tells Celine to not trust Valentine. Then Jem rolls up and finds that Jack is gone and realizes that Rosemary's actually the lost Herondale and not Jack. Jem gives her back her pendant and chants it so she can summon him if she needs to.
Sorry for the loud noise, if there is any. Wait, why did Rosemary doesn't know shit about Valentine?
Well, because they hang out a lot in the Shadow Market, so they know that Valentine's, like, doing shady shit with downlorders.
Yeah, like capturing them and experimenting on them.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
God, what a piece of shit.
Like, this is, like, 2 years before the uprising, so...
He's in it. He's doing the weird shit.
Yeah, he's up in that weird shit. Like, if this is 2 years before the uprising, that means that Jocelyn is probably pregnant at this point.
With Sebastian?
Yeah, because Luke's already a werewolf at this point. So yeah, Jocelyn's already pregnant at this point. Because remember, she gets pregnant right when Luke gets turned.
Yep, and she's getting that demon juice.
Demon juiced. Okay. So, Celine breaks into Valentine's apartment and realizes that Valentine has been double playing them and setting up 2 shadow hunters. And Valentine was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But Celine, I trust you. And Valentine buys her silence by giving her Steven. And God, the layers of manipulation that are happening here. We have the layer of, one, it's very obvious that Valentine got Luke turned into a werewolf to punish him for loving Jocelyn.
Yep.
And then he forces Steven to divorce Amatas because of Luke. And then buying Celine's silence by forcing Steven to marry her. And then using his position to experiment on their unborn child. And then, like, the fact that this entire time that Celine's suspicious of him as well. So she can't say shit. Because she knows if she does anything, he will easily turn it around on her.
Right.
So,
do you think, like, remember when we find out that Celine and Jocelyn, they were, like, pregnant at the same time, and they were giving, or Celine was pregnant.
Yeah, Celine was much further along than Jocelyn was, and Celine mentions the nausea tonics that Valentine's been giving her.
Yeah.
And Jocelyn's just like, oh, fuck.
Because I just remember thinking of that Celine, like, always, like, fawning over Valentine.
Yeah, I think that might have been a ruse as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably just trying to protect herself. Holy shit.
Yeah. So, because the next thing, Jim goes and sees Tessa, tells her Rosemary, beautiful. Anyways, the two shadow hunters that Valentine set up were Celine's abusive parents. And they are going to go for their trial. He knows they'll try to escape, and then he'll kill them. Yep. And Celine agrees to Valentine's plans and to be given Stephen Herondale as a husband.
Oh, it's so fucked up, because it's like, even though Celine has, like, been through all of this stuff, she's still, like, she really loves Stephen, but she still would not stoop to, like, she doesn't want to stoop to marrying him and taking him away from Amatis.
But she knows if she doesn't agree to this, Valentine, like, she knows there's a reason why Valentine wants her to marry Stephen.
Right.
And, yeah, I feel like this could really be explored more. I hope she explores this more.
I don't know.
I feel like it'd be very interesting if this was explored more in Wicked Powers.
Yeah, because we got this.
Yeah, we got that whole Janice subplot we gotta get to.
Janice. Okay.
So, take us to the next one, which is...
What is
the
it?
Dawn! Oh, speaking of Jace.
God.
This is by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan. Take us away, my dear.
So, James. Why did I say James? I've never once called him James. Jem is looking for information on the lost Herondale in the shadow market of New York. And we see some familiar faces. Lovely to see them. Raphael and Lily ask for his help. And he's like, why won't you go to the Institute if you need the Shadow Hunter's help? And he's like, I know what those Lightwoods think of Downworlders, and I will not have my head cut off. So he needs help from Jem. He says that some Yin Fen is going to be delivered to New York, and Raphael needs help stopping it. And because of Jem's past struggle with the drug, obviously he agrees to help, despite his brothers asking him not to. The drug is coming on a passenger boat because there is a shadow hunter child aboard coming from Idris. And it's Jace Wayland, at the time, coming to live with the Lightwoods. And so Jem, like, forces Raphael to ask the Institute for help, even though they definitely don't like the Lightwoods being there. Was it the Ashdowns that were there before them?
It was no. It was, I believe it was the Whitelaws. Let me
the Whitelaws. They like the Whitelaws.
Remember, that was in the Bane Chronicles with that horrible story about how the Circle tortured and killed a werewolf family, and then when the Institute came, they slaughtered
the
fellow shadow hunters.
Yeah, it was them. And so that's obviously also why Raphael doesn't like the Lightwoods, because the Whitelaws really got along with all the Downworlders, and then the Lightwoods were literally part of the Circle. Yeah. And so it's just a whole thing. But he says he'll go with Jem to talk to them and get their help. So they get to the Institute, and Isabel is very skeptical, but also mostly excited about the addition to the family, and also totally knows that Alec is gay. She's like, you know, sometimes I'll look at mundane singers, and I'll look over, and Alec is looking at them the same way I am.
I know. She's just like, and every time I bring it up, he gets real mad at me.
So I just don't say anything. God, I love Isabel and Alec. They're the best. I hated how I said that. I sounded like... Anyway. So Robert obviously agrees to help obtain the Yin Fen because Jace is on board. Obviously, they run into trouble on the boat because why wouldn't they? And Jem helps Jace fight the werewolves. And after the fighting... Oh, I forgot to even mention, like, Raphael... Jem is, like, talking to Raphael, and Raphael is, like, weird about how he doesn't like anyone, but Jem's like... I don't know, I just kind of didn't like the vibe that was happening, but it was sad. And then Raphael saves himself from the sun. Anyway, I didn't write it down, so I don't have coherent thoughts. Anyway, after the fighting, there is just the most touching moment about Parabatai, and Jace clearly has some emotional problems from Valentine, you know, being literally the most abusive asshole. And, but Jem is just, like, talking to him about Parabatai and how it's, like, the best thing that ever could happen to you. And Jace is like, okay, maybe I would like to be, you know, the best. If a Parabatai will get me that, then I want a Parabatai. And as soon as he arrives to the Institute, he basically, like, wants Alec to be his Parabatai already, even though he just got there.
Relatable.
Jace was injured in the fight, and Alec takes care of him, and it's very sweet. My little sons, they're the best.
My boys. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, and then Marie says, well, we can't call you Jonathan.
Oh,
That's,
yeah, because they were
much.
calling him Jonathan.
And then he's like, you can call me Christopher, and they're just like, we're not gonna rename you. And then she's like, what about a nickname? What about Jace? And he's like, okay, I can go by Jace.
I'll go by Jace.
And, like, Jace is so fascinated by Maurice. She's like, Mom? I've never had one of those before.
Never seen one of those.
What's it like?
So, yeah, that is Son of Dawn.
Okay. Next up, The Land I Lost. I took so many notes on this one because guess what, guys? It's the Malik short story.
Oh, this is the only one that I haven't read.
Okay, we will go over it. I recommend you reading it. It's very cute.
Okay.
I do have some problems with it, which we'll go over in Representation Station, but okay. So The Land I Lost is by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan. So we jump forward to New York, 2012. So the last story took place in 2000. Now it's 2012. This takes place right before Lady Midnight. Alec gets a fire message from Jim and Tessa because they need his help in Buenos Aires. Apparently the Shadow Market is barred to all Nephilim, except for Alec Lightwood. There's just pure domesticity and joy of Malik. Like they are so married, even though they're not. They're still engaged at this point.
Yeah, they're not married yet.
Max, cutest toddler in the world. He's wearing a sailor suit of shame. You know that tentacle demon? We all know the tentacle demon. Elias, he's there. Because they're trying to teach Max not to be afraid of summoning demons so he won't ever get, like, tricked.
Oh.
Yeah. The great line, though, from it. Love Uncle Jace. Hate demons. Alec and Magnus have been discussing adopting another child, and Max is fully on board about having a sibling. Apparently, anytime one of them leaves, he asks, like, are you gonna bring back a brother or a sister? And they're just like, no!
Not this time.
Alec goes on patrol with Jace, and Jace is full-blown chaos uncle, who is equally obsessed with Max as Max is with him.
Okay, I have to read this.
There's this line about how Jace has tried multiple times to smuggle Max out on patrol with him. Alec goes and gets Lily Chin. We love Lily Chin, who speaks Spanish. Every time Lily Chin shows up, by the way, she only talks about how hot Jem is. So she's just like, oh, a Jem Carstairs is going to be there? Sign me up to see Brother Snackaraya. Sign me up to see Jem let me climb those car stairs.
I love it.
So they go to the Hotel Dormont, and the vampires now have consent forms that all the mundanes have to sign. Bet's hanging out at the Hotel Dormont. Him and Maya going strong.
Nice.
I just love good updates on my kids, guys. Elliot, the disaster vampire, is there. He's second in command. Beautiful. I have this lovely quote. One of the most worrying things about the vampire clan was that speaking to them reasonably didn't work at all, but they were delighted to be told off. Rafael Santiago really left a mark on these people. Nothing to do with nothing, but I just love that.
So good.
So Alec fetches Lily, and they're on their way. Jim and Tessa are married and together, and they be having sex.
They really do be fucking.
No, like, literally, when they want to have sex, they tell each other in Mandarin.
Boy, I can't.
Yeah, so anyways, Alec and Lily get to Buenos Aires Institute. Some bigot ass is running it, who won't let Lily in, and Alec is like, fuck this place, bye. So they go to the closed-off Shadow Market. Alec gets in, and then we meet Juliet the werewolf. Remember that werewolf on the Orient Express who had the hots for Alec?
Oh, yeah.
She's adopted that fairy girl from the Shadow Market.
Oh.
And Juliet has turned the Shadow Market in Buenos Aires into an orphanage for downloaders who lost their families in the dark world. Horace Dearborn, fuck that guy.
Boy.
Has installed Clive Breakspear at the Institute, and those shadow hunters at the Institute here hunt down downworlders and are basically mercenaries.
Wow.
Female werewolves are going missing, and Alec and Lily are going to investigate it, plus investigate with Jim and Tessa about their side quest. Alec is giving away his free money to the kids, and then meets a young boy, Raphael. He doesn't quite seem like a downworlder, and he has some information regarding the women. And then they find out that Raphael is a shadow hunter, a boy. And Alec is appalled. This boy should have been taken care of and placed with a shadow hunter family, not left to live on the streets.
That's so
Alec shifts fully into dad mode. And buys Raphael shoes, and Raphael decides to trust him for now. Alec and Raphael only speaks Spanish as well, so like they're having to go through Lily as a translator. And Raphael's like super sassy and keeps calling Alec an idiot in Spanish. Alec meets up with Jim and Tessa, and apparently those Lynette Herondale genes be so strong because apparently Alec looks almost exactly like Will. And that'd be hurting Jim and Tessa, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. I never pictured that. I kind of don't like that.
Well, because like I guess like they don't look exactly the same, but they look similar enough,
right?
To where they both look up and they see him coming out carrying Raphael, and they're just Raphael. It's Raphael. I don't know why I'm stumbling. Sorry, guys. So, oh fuck.
What?
Okay. I accidentally touched the top of my iPad and it scrolled. Okay. Raphael knows he's a shadow hunter and has been spying on the other shadow hunters, and apparently the werewolf women are being held by a warlock, and the Buenos Aires shadow hunters are possibly in cahoots. So Jim and Tessa tell Alec about the lost Herondale a bit, and he's like, okay, yes, I'll also help with that. Lily tells her story to Alec, and it's just more violence against women. I don't really want to get into it. You can read it on your own time. It made me very... Basically, Lily, she's half Japanese, half Chinese, and her father... No, not half Japanese. She's half Chinese and half, like, white, and her father was a white man who traded with China, was living in China, and bought Lily's mother. And then when he was done with them, sold them to a pleasure house that had vampires in the basement. And it was a whole thing. That's how Lily became a vampire. Very problematic, and that's all I'm going to get into with that, because more problematic things happen in this story.
My gosh.
Remember that dandelion-ass fairy bitch from Cast Long Shadows? Guess what? She's in this market as well. And she fucking hates shadow hunters. Fuck that bitch. Anyways, so the next day, Raphael leads Jim and Alec to where he saw the shadow hunters going. They spy, and yeah, so shit is going on. Alec and Jim and Raph go back to the Institute and tell the guards there, who Alec, like, kind of knows, to, like, get their shit together.
Right.
Then everyone meets up at the Shadow Market. Then they confront that dandelion fairy. Her name is Mother Hawthorne, and why she hates the Herondales. We get the full story of the first heir. Mother Hawthorne was the midwife for when Oraline, who's the first heir, the daughter of the Seelie Queen and Unseelie King, and helped raise her, and then she ran away to marry Roland Herondale.
Right.
And so the Lost Herondale is also the lost first heir.
Right.
So that's why she hates Herondales.
So Rosemary's mom is...
No, Rosemary's grandma. Or great-grandma. Because when Jem saw Roland and Oraline, it was 1936.
Oh, that's what I meant. Oraline is...
Yeah.
Is...
The lost heir.
The lost heir.
Yeah.
Got it.
And when Roland died... Oraline let go of her immortality and died with him.
I thought they were hunted down.
No, they died of old age.
But the story, we'll get to it later.
No, because Oraline is not Rosemary's mother. That's her great-grandma.
How is that her great-grandma?
Okay, Haley, do we need to get into why a grown woman in 1936 is her grandmother?
I'm so confused. I thought it was just one... I thought the lost heir ran away and married Roland. And had Rosemary.
No! Rosemary's parents were killed in, like, the 80s.
Oh. Okay. It all makes sense now.
Because
I was just missing a few generations.
Rosemary and Jack were married when they weren't married yet. No, they were married in 1989. and
okay, I was just missing a few generations of Herondales, okay?
And that would still make the baby that we see in 1936 too old to be Rosemary's parent.
Okay, so it's a couple or generations removed. Okay, I get it now. Stop yelling at me.
The lost heir is Kit's great-grandma.
Got it.
God. Haley Day.
I was confused. It's a lot.
No, it's not.
It's
Kit,
so much.
Kit is like our age. No, he's not. He's like 4 years younger. In what world could a grown woman... That's like you saying my grandma was a grown-ass woman in 1936. My mom was a baby in 1936.
Okay.
God.
Jeepers.
Anyways, okay, so Alec and Lily go back to that warlock house and get let in easily. Turns out the warlock, you know what he's doing? He's trying to recreate Tessa, a child born of a greater demon and a shadow hunter, but using werewolves and demons. Wow! More sexual fucking violence against women.
Shocked.
Like, this is the most disgusting thing Cassandra Clare's ever written. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I had to read incest multiple times. Anyways, a big fight happens that has our group versus corrupt shadow hunters. The house that begins to burn down. But Alec gets everyone out, and Alec is like, now I'm going to call my dad, and you're all going to go on trial, except those of you who weren't involved. Alex decides he wants to adopt Raphael, so they go back to New York, and Robert's there, and tells Alec he wants him to be the Inquisitor after him. I'm sad. But you know what Alec does end up doing, Haley? Becomes consul.
It's like one step up from Inquisitor, in my opinion.
Yeah. It literally is.
That's my opinion, okay? I don't care how it really is. That's my opinion.
The consul's basically the president, and the Inquisitor is a one-man supreme justice. So Magnus is immediately in love with Roth, and so is Max, and the Lightwood Banes grow by one.
Oh, we love to see it.
You love to see it. Okay, Haley, take us to the next story.
Oh boy, I'm scared.
Another hurdy one.
Oh. Okay. All right, fine. Through Blood, Through Fire.
By Cassandra Clare and Robin Wasserman.
All right, so Jem and Tessa are like on the French countryside or some bullshit, strategizing over how to find the lost Herondale when they receive a distress call from Rosemary Herondale. We just talked about her, so I don't need to get into that.
We spent too much time.
They are... Anyway, so they go to her, but they're too late to save her. A rider of Manon, I think? Manan? I don't know how to say it.
Manon.
Okay, Manon. Beat them there and killed her. Her dying wish is for them to save her son. Tessa changes into her and get a clue to where they should meet Rosemary's husband at a bar. And Tessa is still in Rosemary's body when the rider comes back and almost kills her. Well, he stabs her, impales her with a knife. She transforms between the two bodies while unconscious for a few days. During that time, she dreams pretty much all the information she needs to know. Rosemary was young when she met Jack Crow, but she and her parents were always on the run, always hiding. Her parents say they need to leave, but she runs away to be with Jack. When she comes back home, her parents are dead. She tells Jack everything. Murdered. Yeah, very much murdered. She tells Jack everything. She's a shadow hunter and Fae royalty. She's a shadow hunter and Fae royalty. It sounded like I meant shadow hunter royalty and Fae royalty. That's not what I meant. Anyway, a descendant from both Seelie and Unseelie bloodlines, but we been new. And he wants to help her, so they travel around and eventually have a son, but she leaves them before he can even remember her face, hoping this will keep him safe. Poor little kid. Tessa wakes up and they go back to the Shadow Market to look for Jack because of a clue the bartender gave Tessa before she was impaled with a knife. They know his last name is Rook. They quickly find out that it's Johnny Rook and that he is not well liked. But they also get an address to his house. They arrive just as Emma Carstairs is fighting the demons that killed Johnny Rook. His house has also exploded, but his son is alive. Little Kit Herondale arrives in our lives. Tessa and Jem leave Kit with the LA Institute for the time being. Tessa tells Jem that she is pregnant, and it's too much emotion. I will cry. Please do not make me think about it.
It's very emotional.
It's too much.
Too much. Yeah.
Did I miss anything super important?
No, not really. Not really. It was just a lot of backstory getting filled in for us for Kit.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, the next story, story 9, oh fuck, hold on, is called The Lost World. CC and Kelly Link, there's an Arthur Conan Doyle quote. The world and everything in it had changed. People passed me as I sat, people who laughed and joked and gossiped. It seemed to me that I watched them almost as a dead man might watch the living. From The Fate of Evangeline. So it's 2013, the events of the Dark Artifices have passed 6 months prior. Ty is at the Scholomance. So you all remember how Ty failed at resurrecting his dead sister, and instead he just has like her ghost permanently bound to this earth. So he's just living with her at the Scholomance. Only he can see her. That's healthy.
It's fine.
It's fine. This is fine. The cohort is still shut up in Idris. Ty has adapted to his life at the Scholomance very well. But something is still wrong. So this entire chapters from Ghost to Lily POV. She's existential and worried about Ty. Livy and Ty rescue a baby lynx kitten who was dying. They name her Irene. Livy and Ty are trying to see if she can go to Idris despite the ward. She keeps trying, but is unsuccessful. She gets right up next to the wards, but not in, and can hear Manuel and Zara arguing. The cohort can spy on the outside world somehow. This is the furthest she's ever been from Ty before, and she feels more alive than ever. But when she comes back, she's floating over this river. It's the Dimmock Tarn. It's a weird thing. And then she kind of forgets who she is again. Then she remembers, and she's going to tell Magnus what she heard. And she kind of causes some poltergeist activity in the LA Institute.
Yeah.
And then she goes off to Jim and Tessa's house, because that's where Magnus is, because Tessa's in labor. And so Livy goes there. And then the baby's going to be named Wilhelmina Yaquing May Carstairs.
It's too fucking much.
Is it Yaquing or Yashing?
I have absolutely no idea how to speak
Mandarin. If anyone knows Mandarin, tell me what the Q sound means. Okay. Livy breaks a bunch of windows there as well. So.
Way to go, Livy.
And then she I gotta go back to the Skull Man. Something's wrong. Ty has collapsed. So Livy hurries back to him. Then after the baby's delivered, Magnus shows up and is like, "The fuck, Lily?" And she's just... I got a quote. Lily said, "Because every time I get too far away from Ty, things start to go wrong. I start to change. I get stronger, I think. I can do things, like I did with the conservatory. I broke dishes too, and I think I almost hurt Tessa's baby somehow. And Ty, it's bad for him, too, when we're apart. That's why he ended up in the infirmary, because I was gone too long." And then, "You're bound to Ty," Magnus said, "but it's a necromantical bond. I was poking around for something to use that might work to bear a little of that weight. That bond must be on you and Ty." And Kit asked what I was doing. "He gave me this, and I altered it a little, given it some potency. If Ty wears it, it should shield him a little from any side effects of being bound to the dead, and it should sustain you a little. It should ease some of the strangeness of being in the living world. You can touch it, and two, should you or he feel in need of help, you can use the call on me, or Ty can. Once it belonged to Kit's mother. It was given to her by Jim, so that when she was in danger, she could summon him. Now it will serve you and your brother." So Ty now has the Herondale necklace. I wonder if there's some symbolism going on there.
Some symbolism.
That's the end of the story. Some setup for the wicked powers here.
Most definitely.
Especially for our next story, Haley.
Oh, yeah.
The final of the book, called Forever Fallen.
It pretty much just is prologue for Wicked Powers.
Yeah. It's by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan, and it does have an epigraph of "Awake, arise, or be forever fallen." Milton.
Of course. So it's kind of like a back and forth between Jem and Kit. So basically what happens is with Jem and Kit, they're in the shadow market to get teething stuff for Mina, the baby. Ooh. Kit is trying to find his place with Tessa and Jem, and Tessa and Jem are basically just the best fucking parents. Kit wants to train. He loves Mina, and he's sad about Ty. Jem can't believe his life is so good. He carries Mina in a baby Bjorn, well, basically, and walks to a bakery, and Tessa, tells Kit about his mom, and it's just... Kit, cries, and it's just... Anyway, the last scene between Kit and Jem is just the absolute sweetest. Jem promises to help Kit train, because Kit's like, "Will you train with me?" And Jem is like, "Another Herondale once asked me that." Oh god, okay. And I just can't wait to see their relationship blossom in Wicked Powers. Get some more Kit-Mina sibling action. Love that.
Oh shit.
Oh boy.
Sorry, an ad.
So, meanwhile, Thule Jace has decided to call himself Janice. And I hate it.
Janus.
I hate it absolutely the most.
I know. It's the worst.
Anyway, he's plotting to kill this dimension Jace so he can be with Clary. He starts stalking the NYC Shadowhunters and is surprisingly sad/happy to see Alex so grown up, married to Magnus with 2 children. The Alec and Thule died a long time ago, holding Magnus's hand.
We don't talk about that.
Dude, okay, yeah, let's not talk about it. It's really sad.
I think we did enough yelling about that.
Okay. He is, so Janus is surprised that he feels anything because, when he was connected to Sebastian, he didn't feel anything besides love for Sebastian, but that has kind of been severed, I get the feeling, but, like, he still doesn't know how to be a real person.
His emotions are, like, turned off and compromised, basically.
Right. He, like, has no idea how to feel like a normal person. Yeah. So when Sebastian was alive, the only other feeling he had was love and longing to be with Clary and his devotion to keep Ash safe.
Yeah.
It is just he and Ash living together in a house in Fairy that the Seelie Queen gave them, though Janus leaves often to spy on our friends. Ash has come to terms with the fact that Janus will leave him soon. While Janus is spying on Magnus's apartment, he sees Clary and Jace and Simon, and everyone, obviously. He is crushed seeing Clary with Jace, and basically catatonic. He, like, doesn't know what to do with his body. He just like wants to be with her so bad.
It's so many emotions.
Did I say it in here? Clary died well, we know that.
We know that. Jace, Fool Clary died during the Battle of the Baron. Remember that whole thing where in our story, Clary stabbed Jace with the heavenly fire and burnt out the connection between them? In Fool, she was killed by Lilith.
Right.
And so Jace was not ever unbound from Sebastian.
Yeah, so he's just been living without Clary, and it has not been happy for him.
For like 7 years.
Yeah, fuck. So this is like the moment, fuck, I skipped a line. So Clary comes outside and he approaches her and she believes that he is this dimension's Jace.
Jace, not Janus.
Jace, yeah. So she believes Janus is Jace. And it's just so fucking sad.
Heartbreaking. Horrific.
And, like, this is the moment that Janus has been waiting for 7 years, and Clary thinks it's Jace, not him. Like, she has no idea, and it's like, she kisses him, and it's really fucking sad. He realizes that he could never just take Jace's place. Not only would no one be convinced, they would know something is wrong, and Janus wants Clary to love him for him, not pretending to be Jace. So he goes back to Ash, and he says that he will stay with him, knowing Ash's potential and genuinely caring for him, despite, that passive power of Ash's where he can manipulate people into loving him and being loyal to him. And Janus says even when he's away from Ash, he still feels protective and love for him. I don't think he says love, but Janus plans to win Clary as himself and help Ash become the ruler he was literally destined to be. And I just have a lot of screaming here at the end because I just feel so bad for Janus.
It's just one of those things where you're like...
Right.
And, like, there's this, like, sad scene as well where he kisses the ground where Clary was on. So, like, at the same
he's
time...
so desperate, and it's so sad.
Like, on the one hand, you're just very much like, Janus, you need to stop. But at the same time, you're just like, this is Jace. This is the boy I love. I care so deeply about Jace Herondale. And, like, just reading about him being this torn up. But then also all the bad things he does.
Right.
I'm just
killing 2 downworlder children for absolutely no reason.
The fact that, oh my, I don't think you spoke about, like, the scene where he's, like, when he's spying on Alec.
Oh my god.
And Max finds him in the bushes, and Janice almost kills Max, and then he realizes that his name is Max, and he's just like, oh, fuck. And, like, he gets hit by this ton of bricks by the fact that this Alec is happy. God, I'm gonna cry. And how, like, this is his parabatai who is happy, is married, is the consult, has 2 kids, who named one of his kids after his brother, and it's just this realization. And then, like, he also gets mad because of the fact that there's, like, there's a lot going on with Janice, and I hate how much the Seelie Queen is manipulating him.
I know.
So much. Because I'm just like, Janice, if you just, like, fucking went and talked to them, like, no one in that group would be mad at you or think you were crazy. They, like...
Right, because, like, Clary already went through it once. Clary, like, knows that the Jace connected to Sebastian is not Jace. You know what I mean?
Like Clary and Jace of this world would be 100% on Janice's side. They would 100% know what he was going through. And just be like, okay, we need to, like, actually deal with this and not, like, you be weird and creepy.
It's so...
And it's just so fucking heartbreaking. Like, I had so many emotions reading this final story, because it's just, like, the good feelings of Kit and Jem, and how I know that's gonna go all to shit soon. And then, like, reading about one of my favorite literary characters, Jace Herondale, having the worst possible scenario that could have ever fucking happened to him be a fucking character. I was thinking about this. Jace Herondale has it all. Jace Herondale is the leader of the New York Institute. Him and Clary are engaged. He has everything in his life going. And know what Cassandra Clare gives us? A Jace who fucking lost it all.
I know. Like, it's like we don't get any Jace and Clary, like, the real ones.
We don't get
in
the
this
happy
time
times.
Period. Like,
we just get, like, we literally have the Jace who literally has it all, and the Jace who fucking lost it all. I'm just very emotional. I
feel like my prediction for Wicked Powers is Janice and Ash become, like, anti-heroes. Is that what you call them?
I hope so, because, like, it's heavily implied that Ash still has that note that Drew wrote him. Remember?
Yeah. And it's also implied that, like, Ash clearly has, like, this bad side because look at his fucking parents, but I also feel like he's, like, this innocent child that really doesn't want bad things to happen, but watch me fucking walk that back in the first book of Wicked Powers.
Yeah, I really feel like Ash is going to be... Because never once has Ash ever been painted in a bad light.
Right.
Like, Sebastian, right off the bat, we fucking hate Sebastian.
Absolutely.
Like, suspicious, we don't like this boy. Ash has never been that. Even when we knew who his parents were, the text never said he's inherently bad.
Yeah, I agree. So I feel like Ash and Janice are really gonna come to be good people. I don't know. I have
some speculation. I think I don't know if Cassandra Clare would ever kill off Janice. Because, like, the idea of Cassandra Clare killing Jace Herondale in any form, no bueno.
It's not gonna happen.
Prediction: what if they open up to a world where Jace did die in the Battle of the Burren, and Clary is stuck with Sebastian?
That would be crazy. But then
Janice and that Clary.
Yeah, then Janice and that Clary could be together.
They're shared trauma.
Shared trauma.
Because I feel like that Clary would just be equally as
desperate.
Yeah. I also think maybe that would have been more interesting than Janice.
Yeah, because, like, remember, right... Wait, when was that?
But I feel like that Clary would also be smart enough to roll up into the institute and be like, hello, my name is Calissa Morgenstern. I was forced into an incest relationship for 7 years. Here's my nephew. Y'all want to come help me?
Yeah, that's true. But, like, we just have seen Jace tortured for so long.
My son, my boy.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's talk about love. Okay. Jim do be loving Tessa and Will. When Tessa called him Brother Snackariah.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. I just love how Tessa finds it so fucking funny whenever anyone compliments Jem. Like, just, like, the fact, like, because she knows he's fucking hot. She knows it. And she knows how much Jem's just like, I'm not hot. And she's just like, you're literally, like, the hottest dude ever. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, God, it's too much.
I don't have any quotes, really. Malik, oh, bueno, so good.
You love to see
Lily
it.
Chin do be loving Raphael.
Right.
But I really appreciate the fact that she never pushed it. He knew that she was in love with him.
Right.
And she knew he knew. But they both respected their friendship too much to ever make a big deal about it.
Right. Which is really cool, because as we established last episode...
Raphael's confirmed ace.
Arrow ace.
And he definitely, and like, he always keeps people at a distance. I think that's because of the whole, you know, killing his gang of, his greaser gang when he was a vampire. You know.
Right. Yeah, that could put a damper on it.
I'm very excited for Kit and Ty in Wicked Powers. Very excited.
I know.
I got one quote. Kit's jaw was still set. Jem knew that look. Herondales were always flames, he thought. They loved and suffered as if they would burn away with the sheer force of their own fire.
Oh.
Kit really does have, like, the two best people to ever raise him. Tessa, who raised 2 Herondales herself, and Jem, who is best friends with Will.
It would be impossible for him to love Herondales any more than he already does.
Yeah, like, the only more tortured Herondale than Will Herondale is Jace. So.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Theme park, Trindler, Jim Carstairs.
Man, there were I can't even put a theme to this. There's so many different stories.
Yeah. One of the big things as well is I just like the fact of seeing all these lines come together and see, okay, that's where this is coming from, that's where this is from, and all those moments and being like, okay, this makes sense. Because we had a bunch of the stuff for this book series had 3 book series. This book had like 3 main functions. 1, preparing us for the last hours. 2, preparing us for Wicked Powers. And 3, just like giving us that fan service.
Right. Yeah, it was really good. Really good.
Representation Station.
Toot toot.
Okay. So
I didn't have anything else that you didn't have, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to go in chronological order of things that happened. Okay, 1. This first quote from Every Exquisite Thing. Anna knew now that she was never going to go back to wearing dresses. She'd always loved the theater, always loved the idea of a performance. The first time she'd worn her brother's clothes had been a performance, but each time she did again, it became more her reality. She was not a man and did not want to be. But why should men get to keep all the good pieces of masculinity for themselves because of an accident of birth? Why should she, Anna, not wear their clothes and their power and confidence too?
God, I love it so much.
Like that. That is just Cassandra Clare, or who also wrote this? Maureen Johnson. I think it was Maureen Johnson. Yeah. You get it. You get it. You get it. Like, they just understood it. And I think that was very much something that if you don't understand, like, the intersectingness of gender and sexuality and gender expression, you probably wouldn't get. the fact that her wanting to wear men's clothes was not the same thing as her being trans.
Right. It wasn't her wanting to be a man. It was her wanting to express herself however she wanted to.
Yeah.
Which I think it's really crazy to see it, like, especially in this time, like, how different it was, like how extreme, not extreme, like the extreme difference between men and women's styles, like,
yeah,
it just exacerbated this. But I do like that she says, like, I don't think she necessarily had to come out and say, like, I don't want to be a man, because I feel like we should respect whatever she wants to do without knowing, like,
yeah. Well, I feel like this is also still important, is understanding that it is going to be primarily, like, the age range of, like, 14 to 17 reading this book.
Right.
And this might be your first, like, engaging with this.
Right.
I also really...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was watching this video about, it was, like, everything you need to know before reading Chain of Gold. And it was by this girl on YouTube who is, like, obsessed with this whole world. And she called Anna genderqueer, which I don't think is correct.
I also don't think that's correct. But then again, because, okay, so Anna Lightwood is a character who is a late Victorian, early Edwardian character, but written by modern authors. So there's a couple things coming into play here. One, the term gay just didn't exist yet. I don't believe it was coined yet. Let me Google it before I say that. But our modern understandings of the words gay, queer, gender, sex, those did not exist at that time.
Right.
And as someone who has studied, I studied queer studies in college, guys. A lot of queer historians are very wary about using modern day labels to describe people of the past, because those labels did not exist for them. We are labeling them without their consent. And I made this more as a expression of butch.
I did too.
Because, okay, so here's some queer history. There's something called I'm going to say the D slur. I'm not going to say the D slur. I'm not going to say it. I can say it, but I'm not going to say it. So a bull dagger D word. Do you know what a bull dagger is when I say that?
I think so, yes.
So, traditionally, a bull dagger, in queerness is so here it is. It's technically a pejorative slang for a very masculine lesbian, which often carries a more racialized meaning than its synonyms. Bull D slur, bull D slur, diesel slur. A bull dagger associated with physical strength, sexual prowess, and emotional reserve. But bull dagger also used to be, especially for a late Victorian and Edwardian, it was these women who would wear suits, who were lesbians and would go to these things. There was this thing called the Monocle Club, which I should really have looked all this up. So the Monocle Club was a Parisian lesbian bar where it would have the dichotomy of butch lesbians and femme lesbians, and that's where you see the birthplace of those terms of butch lesbian and femme lesbian, which I'm really not going to get into whether or not butch and femme is only meant for lesbians, because I don't want to get canceled. Y'all can discuss that discourse on your own. But so that is more where this is coming from, and I feel like saying that Anna is genderqueer when Cassandra Clare has not said that.
I feel like it's bringing gender into it when Anna expresses that it has nothing to do with her gender.
Yeah, because I read this more about how gender roles, gender expression, and gender identity sometimes have to do more with your sexuality than it does with your gender.
Let me
give you an example of what I mean. So during my queer studies course, we discussed this about the difference between trans men and butch lesbians. There's a difference. There is a very much difference. To someone who does not know the difference, you might assume that trans men are and butch lesbians are synonyms. They're not. They're 100% not. They're two very different things. There are such things as he/him lesbians who, not getting into that discourse, I'm just discussing this, guys, from my queer studies lens. Where butch in itself becomes a gender identity because lesbian historically has both a gender and sexuality. It's a gender identity and a sexuality, lesbian.
Okay.
That's a historical definition that I'm giving you. Today we are a little more rigid in our labels for things.
Right.
So where lesbian has now come to mean more of a sexuality. For me, as someone who does have that understanding of queer history, for me, this was very much them talking about the lesbian butch thing as a gender expression that is separate from her wanting to be a man. Anna Lightwood does not want to be a man.
Right.
She says that she likes being a woman.
Right. I feel like it definitely has, she's not like, she wants to be a woman that likes women that wears men's clothes. I don't know, I don't know what is the definition of genderqueer? Like, I guess maybe I don't know that, but.
Okay, so the genderqueer falls underneath the trans umbrella, which, once again, I'm not Cassandra Clare. I cannot say that for this character. So, genderqueer, the actual definition is denoting or relating to a person who does not subscribe to conventional gender distinction but identifies with neither, both, or a combination of male and female genders.
Which I just don't think that's her.
For me, that personally does not say Anna Lightwood to me. You could say that she is gender non-conforming. That would be a more accurate term.
Right.
Especially for the time period. Do you know what gender non-conforming is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for our audience who does not know what gender non-conforming is, I will read you the definition from Google. Hold on. Gender non-conforming is gendered variance, or gender non-conforming is a behavior or gender expression by an individual that does not match masculine or feminine gender norms. That's gender variance. Hold on. Gender non-conforming, from Merriam-Webster, exhibiting behavioral, culture, or psychological traits that do not correspond with the traits typically associated with one sex, having a gender expression that does not conform to gender norms. So, Anna Lightwood is gender non-conforming, if anything, if we're going to go with a terminology from underneath the trans umbrella. But right. I personally, as probably the only person on this podcast qualified to say this, I would say, I personally would not say that she's genderqueer. This is also a time before the word lesbian existed, I believe. Let me look up the history of the word lesbian before I say that. Let's see. Yeah, the word lesbian did not really become popular until after 1950. So
yeah, I don't know. That just really bothered me.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely the word homosexual was known at that time, but but yeah, that is very important, which I feel like we're having a good discussion about this because, yeah, I feel it also coming from your different point of views, you could read her as a genderqueer character. I personally do not.
I personally do not either, but I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. This is also why I feel like it's so important that these people are represented in these books, because then people do talk about it and they do get a better understanding, and they, I don't know, opens their eyes a little bit.
Maybe it's because I came into this already having the how can I say this? Already coming into this having queer history, knowing it, coming in and already knowing about the history of lesbianism during late Victorian, early Edwardian, coming in knowing about La Monocle, which I would recommend looking at those pictures, because you can definitely, like, hold on, I'm going to send Haley a picture right now of pictures from La Monocle, and you can see the exact thing I am talking about, and you can see this is the exact reference that Cassandra Clare is making. This is all women in this picture I'm about to show you. I say women, I should say lesbians. They're all lesbians in this picture.
Sorry if there's a bunch of noises again.
Oh, why is it so pixelated? That's the direct reference that I was getting.
Dude, so dope. The one that's smoking a cigarette is even, like, still wearing heels, you can see.
Yeah.
So it's just, like,
I don't know. Because there actually, at least in America, there used to be a law where if you were, this was cross-dressing. At the end of the day, this is cross-dressing.
Right.
We can say that there was a law that says if you had to be wearing 3 articles of your assigned sex's clothing. So a lot of times you have these stories of these early lesbians who said they would get stopped by police and they would get let go because they could lift up their pants and be like, I have on lady shoes and lady socks. And I have my little bonnet on. Can I go?
Can I go?
Yeah. And so that's why a lot of times you would see drag queens where they would be wearing men's shoes and men's socks and be like, I got men's shoes on, got men's socks on.
That's so crazy.
So I came in with this knowledge because, okay, if you, knowing that this existed at the time that Anna Lightwood's character is taking place, it changes the perception of, this is the direct reference that Cassandra Clare and Maureen Johnson are making to this.
Yeah.
Like the short hair that's combed back, the tailored suits, all of that. This is the reference that's being made. Like, even if you look in the artwork that's attached to
every exquisite thing. Basically, you just need a monocle, and Anna Lightwood is these people.
Yeah, like, it's very much that. So, that got very, very good discussion with that. So, I wanted to talk about another quote for Anna.
Go for it.
Anna stepped into the room. Both her parents looked up. She saw them take in her new clothes, as well as her short hair. She stood in the doorway, bracing herself for whatever response was coming. A long moment passed. I told you the blue waistcoat was the one, Gabriel said to Cecily. It brings out her eyes. I did not disagree, said Cecily, rocking the baby. I just said she would look very well in red. Anna began to smile. Much better than your brother's clothes, Gabriel said. He does dreadful things to them with sulfuric acids. Cecily examined Anna's shorn locks. Very sensible, she said. Hair can become cumbersome in battle. I like it very much. She rose to her feet. Come sit, she added. Be still, dude. My heart. Like, when I was writing my notes, I was almost crying at my desk reading this and writing these notes because Cecily and Gabriel are such good parents. And Gabriel has come so fucking far. Like,
I know.
And dearly loves his children. Like, they knew that Anna was gay or homosexual, which would be the correct term for the time. And didn't press her or challenge her on it until they saw that her heart was broken, and they were just like, we gotta step in.
Right.
They knew they needed to be there and support her in whatever way. And fuck, I would have loved to have read this whole thing from Cecily and Gabriel's POV to see how they navigated it.
Right.
Because, and also the fact that it's heavily implied that Gabriel and Cecily both saw Anna in,
Christopher's
clothes. Like, fully, like, I don't doubt for a second they saw her, like, shimmying down the drain pipe and be like, where the fuck's she going? What's going on?
Why is she wearing those ratty clothes?
Are those Gabriel? Oh, the Gabriels. Are those Christophers?
When Gabriel looks at Cecily and is like, just like barely looks up, I told you the blue waistcoat was the one. I literally just, tears were just streaming down my face. Just like,
I know. Like,
I've been like really thinking about like the concept of like unconditional love recently, and just like seeing this unconditional love just like made me really happy, because there are kids out there whose parents don't love them conditionally, and that makes me so fucking sad.
Yeah. And like and I feel like that this being written and is an example of them saying like, hey, if your parents are shitty, that's not right. This is the way they should be responding, not whatever shitty way they're responding.
Right.
And I think that's very validating.
I agree.
I also loved how Jim saw Anna in menswear and was like, I'm not getting involved with that. That's not my business, not my call. I love you, Anna, but like, I'm not telling your parents anything. I do not have time to deal with that. Okay. So, I have a quote about Katerina. This is from A Deeper Love.
Yes.
Katerina stood out to them because of her dark skin. They did not see a blue woman with white hair. They saw a nurse from the West Indies. She had faced considerable prejudice, but it was clear that not only was Katerina a good nurse, she was the best nurse in all of London. Anyone who got Katerina as a nurse was considered lucky. Even the most miserable bigot desired to live, and Katerina nursed all who came to her with equanimity.
Oh, I love Katerina.
I love Katerina.
She's the fucking best.
Yeah, because she is from the West Indies, is she not?
I don't know where she's from.
Yeah, because because she is the nurse who's taking care of Jocelyn at the hospital that Clary doesn't realize has a glamour on at first.
Right.
Yeah.
She also is. Oh yeah, and isn't she also the one who helps Diana transition?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Katerina, you love her.
She's the best. Everyone deserves a nice nurse friend.
Yeah. Okay. The Celine stuff. So, Celine comes from an abusive family, and it's heavily implied that Valentine was also heavily abused by his parents as well. And Valentine uses this shared trauma to manipulate her. But, like, my guy, I do not think Celine would appreciate you abusing her son.
Gosh.
And, like, the entire Celine Stephen thing makes me so uncomfortable because it's basically a arranged marriage that Valentine forces, but Celine also just, like, agrees to. Like, I know that she feels forced into agreeing it, but, like...
I know. I feel like she just, like... I don't know, the power dynamic between Valentine and Celine, I just think was a little too off kilter for her to have any kind of
like,
leverage.
You also have to remember, Valentine's like 22 at this point. She's 17. Celine is 17 years old.
Yeah, she's a child.
Like, even if Valentine wasn't this disgusting mastermind, she is 17. I could get a 17-year-old to do fucking anything.
Yeah.
So, like...
I know I was incredibly gullible at the time.
Yeah, like, and then, like, the fact that Celine is 17, so she doesn't realize that there is another choice, that she can go to Stephen and say, Valentine wants us to be together, and I'm in love with you, but I know, like, she knows he's in love with Amethyst. Right. She knows he will never love her. And she still agrees to it because she says, at least I'll get to love him. Like, what the fuck, Celine?
Love him from a distance, my guy.
Or, like,
suffer go to, like the rest of us.
Maybe, like, hit up Brother Zachariah and be like, hey, maybe I need some therapy? Can you heal my mind?
Dude, I don't think Shadowhunters had therapy. That is
no, they don't.
Apparent.
No, they do not. They deal with their trauma with killing themselves in the glory of battle.
God. Rough.
So, the sexual violence against women in the land I lost. Can we not, Cassandra Clare? Can we please not?
Yeah.
The fact that the werewolf women were being kidnapped by a warlock to be raped and bred? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Why did I have to read that? Why was that the plotline? Literally anything else, Cassandra Clare.
It is a bit of a bad look.
Literally anything else.
Yeah, well,
it
couldn't all be good,
furious.
You know.
I was furious. Because it's just like, what purpose did this serve? What... Is there going to be a thing in Wicked Powers where one of the werewolf women, like, their pregnancy survived or whatever? Is that going to be something I'm going to have to deal with in a later book?
I hope not. I hope it was just, like... I feel like there were other stories where, like, in past anthologies where, like, some fucked up shit was happening, but we just... I don't know. Did they solve it at the end? I didn't read this one.
Yeah, so basically, they kill... The warlock is going to go stand trial. All the shadow hunters who were fucking part of it, who were kidnapping these werewolf women, they're going to stand trial.
Well,
Dearborn.
Maybe we needed to see it to prove that Alec is a good leader? Wait, he's not even the consul at this time.
No. But, like... Horace Dearborn installed this head at the Institute. And they tried over and over again to report this to the Clave, and Horace Dearborn kept blocking it.
That's fucked up.
It really is very disappointing, and I really did not like it. Okay, we're getting close to 2 hours, so let's move on, because I'm fucking pissed.
Oopsie. Okay.
Okay, we had good queer discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, does this book hold up? Like, this bitch goes from, like, 1901 to 2015, so I'm like, yeah. Night of the Living Author. Miss me with that Wicked Powers shit. Like, already knew going in, Last Hours was gonna hurt me in so many ways. But I don't want to think about Wicked Powers. Like,
it's like, on the one hand, with Lost Hours, we have Will and Tessa as parents.
Which will hurt.
And now in Wicked Powers, we have Tessa and Jem as parents, and it's too fucking much.
Like, we already know going into Wicked Powers some of the things that are going to happen. One, it's Ty and Ghost Livy and Kit. That whole thing.
Right.
That's, like, Ty and Livy. That hurts so fucking much.
And the fact that Kit's, like, the only other human that can see her besides Magnus.
Yeah. Well, I think Jace can also see her, because Herondale.
Oh, yeah, because he's a Herondale.
Yeah. And then the fact that the Janice and Ash plot line, like...
I know.
That's gonna fucking hurt, because and also the fact that Bronze to bring forth Wicked Powers. What does that mean? I don't like that.
I don't know. And Kit's literally just, like, this destined person. So is Ash.
Yeah. So, like, Kit and Ash are technically, like, uncle and nephew.
Wait, no.
Ash is, like, his great-great-uncle.
No.
Yes.
Ash is
the son of the Seelie Queen. And Kit's great-grandma is the daughter of the Seelie Queen.
Dude, I keep forgetting there's so many generations removed from Kit being a fairy. Okay, sorry. Moving on.
That would still... I don't know where you were going. In what universe is Ash not his uncle?
He is. He is, you're correct.
God. But, yeah, so, like, the fact that Ash is, like, this, like, has all this mixed blood, but then Kit also has mixed blood, and also his first air powers that were shown, in the Battle of Broslin Forest, remember that?
Yeah.
Or where was it? Battle of Lake Lynn? Whatever the fuck battle that was. Where Julian and Emma turn into fucking fire giants. So, I don't know. Wicked Powers, I feel like it's going to hurt me in a lot of ways.
I agree.
A lot of ways.
I think, for me, Lost Hours is going to hurt more. I think.
Here's the thing, though. We know our faves are going to live in Last Hours.
Oh, you're right.
We don't know fuck shit about wicked powers.
Oh, that's so true.
Like, we know for a fact that, well, we don't know for a fact.
We know nothing
we know
for a fact.
We know for a fact that James Herondale lives. We know for a fact that Lucy Herondale lives.
I heard that same video that I was talking about earlier. She said characters we know by name die in this book. Die in Chain of Gold. So, just sit with that.
I'm pretty sure Thomas does die, doesn't he?
The Thomas he's named after died. So I don't know.
Because Alec is, I don't think Thomas is Alec's ancestor. Not Thomas, Christopher. Why did I say Thomas? I need the family tree. I think Christopher dies because the baby is named Alexander. And Alexander is a family name. I think that's a thing.
I'm gonna look at the family tree.
Who all do you know who's gonna die in June?
I don't know who's gonna die. I just know that someone is.
Tell me who.
I don't know who. I'm telling you, I don't know. Unsupported type, file type. What on earth? Okay, I can't. I'm suffocating.
Okay. But like we know Charles Buford is gonna live. Matthew Fairchild, he could die. We don't know. His family died.
So Alec Lightwood is ancestor of Christopher Lightwood.
Okay, so
possibly Alexander, the original guy, the baby. We don't know. That would be horrible.
We know nothing. Thomas, he could die. Gina, him. I don't know. Jesse Blackthorne, he lives. We know going into this that James is in love with Grace Blackthorne, but he ends up marrying Cordelia.
Who's wondering the main character of this series, or at least this book.
Yeah, who is Lucy's parabatai, and also sister to Worm Alistair.
Yes.
So.
All right.
Okay, what's the next thing on the agenda?
I think we're done.
Right. Oh, I had one more quote I want to read during Night of the Living Author. Jace didn't just pull the pigtails of people he had crushes on. He pulled the pigtails of everyone in the world he liked. This was something Simon still had yet not figured out over the years. Rate that book. Tins across the board.
I agree.
How believable was the magic? Some of the best that Cassandra Clare has ever been a part of.
I totally agree. And I think this book overall might be, like, at least my top 4.
Yeah. Like, all 3 infernal devices goes to the shadow market.
That was exactly what I was gonna say.
Would we let our middle school selves read this book? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
This is probably the least horniest book.
I know, sadly.
Sadly, the least horniest book. Okay. So, next week, we will be back with Chain of Gold.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna go start tonight.
Oh, I have to go buy the book still.
I found it at Half Price Books for $5 less than Barnes & Noble, so... Not to brag, but...
I don't have a Half Price Books here, so I'm gonna have to go to Barnes tomorrow. Yeah, so... You know where to find us on social media. Just look up We Majored in English for this. You can follow me personally on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at KJane0696.
And I'm on both SRRYM0M and Dane Reed stuff. I flip-flop. Depends on what I want to tweet.
Yeah. I foresee after March 17th my reading becoming a little less. Because Animal Crossing comes out.
Oh. Damn.
Very excited. Very excited. Did you vote on my poll?
No.
I have a poll on my Twitter. If you're listening to this, the poll's already gone. Or it's not if you're listening to the week that this episode came out. So yeah, okay, I gotta go. I'm tired.
All right, I do gotta go as well.
Okay. I'm going to go take a shower.
I'm gonna. Oh, I should probably shower too. Actually, now that I think about it. All right.
Catch you all the next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.